And now it's 20 minutes of silence. Well, not literally. It's the Kirk Minahan Show, entitled 20 Minutes of Silence, here on WEEI.com.
Kirk Minahan here at podcast WEEI.com. I'm joined today by the 76ers beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer, John Mitchell. John, how are you this afternoon?
I'm excellent, Kirk. How are you?
Good. You must be well. As we tape this, you're what, about 4 hours? So you must be, are you heading right now to the arena, or what are you doing?
No, I'll be out here. As soon as I get off the phone with you, I'll be making my way down there.
Okay, so let's get into this.
I want to speak directly with the Boston fan base.
Well, there you go. Today, a blog post from you comes out and basically says that the title is KG Fairweather Beats Bigoted Any Day. You get into it here, and you get into it. From when I looked at it, John, I could tell you we talked off the air for a minute. My first take was, I don't get it. I think you're calling out Garnett here. You're calling out Boston fans here. I look at it, interpret it as racist, as saying that Kevin Garnett might have to watch out for himself if he plays badly the next couple of games. John, I got to tell you, I've been here the entire Garnett run in Boston. He could go 0 for 40 in these next two games. They lose them both. He rips the Boston fan base. Nothing's going to happen to this guy. He's untouchable. He's beloved around here.
Well, if you really read the blog post, you can see that I didn't rip the entire fan base, and I don't know what the academic status of the Massachusetts State Educational Board is, but I qualified my statements by saying that there is a segment of the fan base who turned on Joel Ward, and the reporting in the Boston Globe. And don't point fingers at me. I'm just going by what the Boston Globe, you all local papers, and the Herald reported by saying that these tweets. They didn't report that these tweets didn't. The majority of them didn't emanate.
Whoa,
from Boston.
But John, did they say that the report say that they did?
The report didn't say anything.
But John, John, one second. If you're going to say, believe me, I'll give you plenty of time to talk. If you're going to say that most of them didn't come from it, that's a loaded statement right there, because you're then suggesting that most of them did, and we don't know that.
We don't. Well, listen. All we know is that it was involving the Boston Bruins.
Correct.
And I'm assuming that the lion's share of their fan base, and let's be quite honest, they're not a team with a national following. I would say that the lion's share of those comments probably did come from the Boston area.
All right, I'll go along with
that. Is that fair enough to say?
I
would say so. Again, we're not talking about Dallas Cowboys type team.
John, let me say this.
With a local following.
First of all, let me just say, obviously, anybody who tweeted any of that stuff is a complete moron. We agree on that. What's sad about it, though, John, I think you might agree with this, is if the St. Louis Blues are playing the Chicago Blackhawks, and Ward is the only black player for the Blues, say he scores a goal, you're going to get a million tweets like that no matter what. I mean, that's the people on Twitter, people all over the place are like that. That's a sad reality, isn't it? I mean, that's not Boston.
It is. It's a haven for morons.
Right. But wouldn't you say that that's more about that than a particular city?
What do you mean?
Well, but my point is, like I said, say Ward played for the Blackhawks, scored a goal. Wouldn't a million people, Blues fans, wherever they are, or not a million, but whatever you saw after Ward scored that goal, wouldn't those same people, if they're Blues fans or Blackhawks fans, and Ward was in the other team, wouldn't you see those same N-bombs all over Twitter?
I hope. You know what? We're in a country, where the president, the first African American president, has to is by the most powerful network in media. Fox News has to go out and a constant quest for his birth certificate. So obviously, this country still has huge problems with race.
Right.
So so
that's fair.
So I really don't understand your point. This happens.
John. But John, let me ask you this. And I'm first of all, I'm not saying I don't think a lot of it did happen in Boston. I think people were on Twitter. I don't know where they were. Neither do you. My point is, if Ward is the only black player on one hockey team, he scores a goal in Game 7 in any city, that other team is going to have fans who put that on Twitter. I'm not saying it's right, John. It's crazy. It's wrong. It's stupid.
No, it's not right. We can obviously agree on that.
But my point is, I think that is more to tie that into Garnett and Fairweather. To me, it's just a stretch. To me, it's a reach. Reading it, to me, it just seemed a reach.
Well, I mean, that's your opinion.
Well, that's what we're here. We're talking about, right?
You're entitled to your opinion, and I respect your opinion. But I mean, let's be quite honest.
Sure.
If you look at the history of the Boston Celtics, Bill Russell, and I know people say you have to be going back 50 years, but you know what? when we talk about, I'm not going to go there.
Well, I mean, what you're saying is what's past is prologue to an extent, right?
Right.
Okay.
And Boston has evolved just like a good swath of this country has evolved. But there's also a massive swath of this country, whether it's in South Philadelphia, whether it's in Boston, that hasn't evolved. And will actually be a better place when those people just die off.
Well,
But the bottom line is that it happened, and it was connected to a Boston-based team. And Boston has this history of, and this maybe it is going a little bit too far because I think Boston is a nice town, and I've got great friends there, many of them who moved there and not from there. But I qualified that statement by saying that these people were not. They're not representative. But every tweet I got, and I'm not surprised by this, and I can take it. I'm a big boy. The majority of the tweets basically said that I was accusing the entire fan base, and I didn't.
No, but
I wonder sometimes, do people can they not? Is the attention deficit disorder in this country so bad that people cannot get beyond the headline?
And here's what you wrote, okay? And here's what you're talking about. Quote, no, this wasn't the whole Boston fan base, not at all. But it's not a coincidence that Bill Russell, the biggest sports winner in the history of Boston sports, and first of all, the biggest winner anywhere, absolutely loathed the city and the fan base that he saw as racist. Well, I mean, I don't know. You use the word coincidence there. What's the coincidence?
The coincidence is that it happened in Boston.
But why is that? But so what? I mean, that happened again. That happened. People.
Boston
Russell was treated. But John, Russell was treated.
Boston being from that area. Boston has a history.
John, I'm not dumb. I know what happened with Russell.
Boston has a racial history.
Listen, they broke into Russell's house and defecated in his house. They smeared his house with crap. I'm not denying that. There's a bad history. But I'm telling you right now, John.
And as an African American, when you see stuff like this. Are African Americans supposed to just channel this out?
Well, John, but John, but you're making it sound like that. But you're saying that look out, Kevin Garnett. That's my problem. Is nothing's going to happen to Garnett.
Okay, now you really don't think that I was suggesting that some physical harm may befall Kevin Garnett.
So here's what you wrote. So my advice to you, KG, is that you're better off winning this series, the next one, than the next. Because if you let these stalwart fans down, who knows what they'll unleash on you? We do know what they are capable of. Take that how you want.
Who knows what they may unleash, and we do know
what does that mean? No, I
don't.
Well, you tell me. I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing would happen to Kevin Garnett.
Maybe I should have said they'll unleash on you on Twitter.
Well,
and you won't think so high.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a big difference.
Would that have made it more clear?
Yeah, well, that's a big difference, isn't it? I mean, you talk about Russell, what he went through. John,
can you get to spell everything out for people here?
You're suggesting a lot when you say that.
There's a blog post.
But you wrote it. It's your words. So what?
Right.
So it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean anything because it was a blog post. Is that what you're saying?
Did I suggest that Kevin Garnett would be swinging from a tree?
I don't know.
Copley Square.
I don't know.
No.
Well, because
no.
So what would happen then? So what's going to happen to
Kevin
Garnett?
I don't know what would happen.
Well, you tell me.
I don't know what happened, and I didn't suggest what would happen. I just said we know what they're capable of. What they have proven themselves to be capable of is being very bigoted via Twitter.
No, they haven't.
What I'm saying right now is I speak to the population there.
No, they haven't.
Yes, this could happen again.
So Celtics fans have proven to be bigoted via Twitter?
What'd you say?
So Celtics fans have proven to be bigoted via Twitter, you just said.
This hasn't. Listen, I know it happened in the Rangers series, and you know what?
Capital series, yeah.
We're talking. Yeah, we're talking about a situation. It happened in Boston.
No, it didn't. No.
It was the city of Boston. And, I'm not the first person to jump on the city of Boston about this.
That's fine, but it didn't happen in Boston. It
Where
happened
in
the Bruins.
You said we don't know.
It happened on Twitter. That's the problem, John. And this is where you and I disagree.
I mean, quite honest. You don't think any of those fans were from Boston?
Of course I do. But I think, do I think some of those people were just random punks on Twitter? You know that. You're on Twitter. It exists. There are punks all over the place on there. My point is,
there truly are. I've met many of them today.
I was going to say, you probably know that better than you did 12 hours ago, right? I guess where you and I just come to a disagreement is, I agree.
And again, you know what? And again, I will say that I don't want to label the city as Boston because I didn't label the city as Boston. But there is a bastion of there's a group that came out and the comments were racial. I found them racially offensive and reprehensible.
Oh, they're terrible. They're awful.
They're terrible.
Absolutely. Terrible.
It will be a better word than the people who when the people who put those tweets out die.
I agree, but John, those guys, listen, you know better than I do. That's just there's always going to be that segment of pop. Now, maybe you and I
right.
disagree on this, but I feel like, and again, listen, I'm white, so I look at it maybe differently. Maybe I want to be more optimistic, so I don't feel bad about it. But I do feel like 20 years ago versus now, particularly I've lived in Boston my whole life.
It's evolved. Boston has
Huge,
the entire
huge difference.
country has evolved.
Right. So
Don't get me wrong.
But my thing is when you write something like that and you dig up the race, it's just tough to throw that out there because you're kind of.
I press some buttons and
that's okay.
I hear what you're saying.
And that's okay. But my point is, I don't know where the tie-in is here. And when you say, now you're saying it's going to be Twitter with Garnett here, but when you wrote it and I read it initially, it's almost making it seem like.
You didn't think that the Night Riders of Ku Klux Klan were going to drive down in the Boston Commons.
I didn't think it was going to be Mississippi Burning 2. I did not think that was going to be the case. So your larger point is that you're frustrated with what happened on Twitter, and you're angry because Garnett. Well, it seems to me you're being defensive of Philadelphia too.
It was. I'm a journalist. I'm responsible for my creativity, and obviously you touched a nerve. That's what I get paid to do.
Well, but it seemed to
it
me
wasn't a news story.
It seemed to me
it wasn't a news story. It was opinion.
No, that's fine. Well, no, I understand that. But my point is that
I don't think a lot of people on Twitter do that. I'm trying to help them.
Oh, well, listen, you're here to educate us. But I think the idea that Philadelphia's a fair weather, it seemed to me that sort of touched a nerve with you, no?
Well, I am a Philadelphian. And so, yeah, it did touch a nerve with me. I'm not going to lie.
So, I mean, okay, well, there it is. There's your case.
Just like I touched the nerve in Boston, that touched the nerve in Philly. Now, maybe did I take it maybe to a different level? Maybe I did.
Yeah, well.
Maybe I did.
Yeah, I just think
calling somebody a racist is as offensive as possible. But I think that the people that I addressed in that blog, it applies.
Yeah, but, I mean, how many I think but no matter what, when you write something like that and it gets out there and you're prefacing it and you're saying things that are different, people are going to look at that and say, listen, this guy, this writer for the Inquirer called the city of Boston racist because people tweeted something after a guy scored a goal in a hockey game. It's a huge, again, I just think it's a huge leap. I don't think it's a fair leap.
I hear you, and that's fair.
You love Boston. You don't hate Boston. That's what you're here to tell us today.
Boston is a cool town, man.
All right.
Boston is a cool town. I look forward to coming back there for Game 7.
Oh, and they look forward to
having
it.
What I will say is, I guess, you know what, let me phrase this.
Yeah.
I'm not a punk, and I do think that there are a lot of punks on Twitter who get incredible heart behind the keyboard. And you know what?
Twitter tough guys.
It's a waste of my time giving them redress, but I'm an emotional guy.
All right. Okay, John.
All right.
No, I understand. And I appreciate you coming here just a couple minutes.
If you need me in the future for Game 7, feel free to call.
All right, John. I'll talk to you.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, John. That's John Mitchell, the Philadelphia Inquirer.